We could also talk about the Flash 1, which again is a good utility knife as a sub EDC, but I would not say that it's going to have the same capacity for work that the Ambitious would. If you're a longtime viewer of my channel, this is probably a familiar picture to you. We have the Spyderco Tenacious in green, kind of a short run color that I think is very cool. Spyderco Persistence in blue, and also the Spyderco Ambitious in blue. Now, these two are probably still available somewhere in blue. Good luck finding them. I don't know exactly where you'll get them or what the price will be. I'm not so sure about the Tenacious being available in green anymore, but I don't know. If you like it, be on the lookout out for it. Otherwise, of course, you can get them in black, which is standard and pretty much always offered. I've reviewed both the Tenacious and the Persistence, and today we're going to talk about the Ambitious, the little brother in the line. And you can see the family resemblance between those three knives. Clearly, the Ambitious is the little brother of the three. Of the four, actually, there's also that gigantic one called the, what is it again? Oh yes, the Resilience. And I've talked about why I'm not real interested in buying that one. We get to a size range that I'm just not too interested in when you get up that big. However, this in the sub-EDC category is quite useful, and we will talk about and show some of this knife in use. In fact, might as well get to that right now. I try to put all my knives through a little bit of a battery of tests before I bring them to the review table. The Spyderco Ambitious was no different in all of that. I did put it through some paper cut tests, which are really simple. It's not really a test. It just kind of demonstrates how fine the edge can be. And when you see it slicing through lots of sheets of paper or lots of bits of the same sheet of paper, you know that it can at least take a very fine edge, and that's great. From the factory, it came with a really nice fine edge, razor sharp, and HCR 13 MOV steel, which this is, gets quite sharp, very razor sharp actually. It's not hard to get it to that stage. It doesn't stay there for a super long time. After you do some work with it, it gets dull fairly quickly, but it will take a really nice initial edge, and that's great. Of course, did some cardboard tests on it again to test sort of the lubricity of the blade, seeing how it slips through that material. Repeated slicing through cardboard will heat up the blade. That friction will do that. So does it slow down as it slides through the cardboard? Yeah, it will a little bit. However, I would say that the Persistence, or excuse me, the Ambitious, did about as well as any other blade that's comparable in size. Now, of course, I also wanted to test it on some wood, which I would say is about as hard as I want to push any EDC knife. Carving away at some of that wood and sort of really testing the grip of it. How does it feel in hand when you're bearing down on it, when you're digging into some harder materials? And I would say that for its size, it performed really nicely. And what about that size, right? I said before, this is what I would call a sub-EDC knife. It's still in the 3-ounce range, which might be heavy for a sub-EDC. However, just a little over 2 inches on that blade, it's definitely in that sub-EDC category. And why would I place it in there? Well, it's a simple fact that it will not have the same capabilities that a larger knife will have, and it will not be as comfortable in hand in performing some of those tasks. So that's really what it comes down to when we describe sub-EDC knives. But what that means is it will be relegated to and really excel in some of those finer and smaller cutting tasks that you'll encounter on a daily basis. And that's why one of the really good uses of a sub-EDC knife like the Ambitious is make it sort of a backup knife, one that will back up something like perhaps your Spyderco Manix 2 lightweight, or possibly, how about the CRKT Fossil? There's a large Fossil right there. You could easily back that up, and so this is the one that you keep in your pocket and don't hardly ever pull out for anything, and this is the one that gets most of the cutting tasks done. That's kind of how I see small knives. What they're useful for is, at least in an everyday carry type of scenario. Now, I carry the sub-EDC sized knives less frequently for sure. So I was kind of debating whether I would even mention the Spyderco Ambitious here, whether I would even bring it out for review. However, in my Spyderco Persistence review. A lot of you guys said, yes, definitely put that Ambitious on the review table and give us your thoughts on it. So here it is. I'm doing it. I do think it is an excellent sub-EDC knife because I really feel like it is tougher and more robust than a lot of other sub-EDC size knives. A couple of those I might say are far less robust. How about the Kershaw OD2? Clearly a much smaller, thinner, not going to hold up to the same kind of stuff that this beefier one with much bigger, broader liners and G10 scales will hold up to. A bit more expensive for sure. Comparable steel on that, so as far as the fineness and the capacity of the edge, yeah, it's about the same. However, the capacity of the knife overall in your hand is definitely improved by that Spyderco Ambitious. We could also talk about the Flash 1, which again is a good utility knife as a sub-EDC, but I would not say that it's going to have the same capacity for work that the Ambitious would. It's really aptly named, isn't it? Ambitious. It's ready for work. It's ready to get some job done. It wants to be recognized, right? That's kind of what I think of when I think of the term ambitious. And that's really what this knife is. It's like, hey man, test me. Put me out there and give me some work to do. I can do it. And I would say that it lives up to that for the most part. Now let's talk about some comparable knives, some comparable sub-EDC sized knives to the Ambitious. Well, I would put the Kershaw Shuffle in that category. It's very comparable in size and weight. And I would also say that the Shuffle is perhaps more useful in that it is a multi-tool as well. It's got this driver here on the back as well as a cap lifter. And but it is comparable in the sense that it fills your hand very much in the same way as the Ambitious does. You know, you can get a nice, almost a full grip on it, quite a full grip considering the size of the knife, to get some good work done. I would say that the Shuffle compares pretty well to the Ambitious in that way. I would also say that the bird turn, the non-locking bird turn with the exact same steel as this one right here, would also fit into that category as a pretty nice work knife for its size. As a sub-EDC, it would do pretty well and get some pretty nice work done. I can definitely say that about the Spyderco Cat, which I did get quite a bit of work done with in a recent move, and that knife held up really nicely. It's very comparable both in size, weight, and also in capacity and capability. You might also say that about this one, the Kershaw Scallion. A really good knife. I don't carry it very much because it's a little beefier than I like my sub-EDCs to be. I would say that about any of these. However, when you like to have a smaller knife and also have good capacity, these are some of the ones you want to look for. So I would say that the sub-EDC size Spyderco Ambitious really does well in comparison to other knives in its category, better than a lot of the knives in its same category. But when you put it next to a bunch of these that also do really, really well in getting some of that harder work done, it stacks up very nicely against them. It may be a little more expensive than some, very comparable in price to others. Overall, if you're looking for a nice small knife that can get some good hard work done, the Spyderco Ambitious is ready for it. I'm the Late Boy Scout. Thanks for watching this review. We'll see you later. The way I see it, the reason it's called the Sage and the reason you have so many different locks going on here is because this is really Spyderco's tribute to all the different knife creators that have created these various locks.